Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to this webinar, the fourth of the early series of the RWSN webinars 2026. The webinar today is entitled Turning Water Loss into Opportunity, Lessons from the Isoko Ubusima on Reducing Non-Revenue Water. Now, I would like to hand over to our moderator of today. Today we have Euphrasia Luseka. She is one of our team leaders from the Leave No One Behind group, and she has kindly agreed to moderate the webinar today. So as Euphrasia takes over, we have just launched a very short poll to just see how much you already know about non-revenue water. So Euphrasia, over to you. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Aline. My name is Euphrasia Luseka. I am a Kenyan woman in water. I specialize in water governance and market systems strengthening. Today, I'm very honored to be the moderator for this session. I have worked in around 25 countries around the world. In Africa, I think 15 plus, and Rwanda is one of them. Today, we are going to be revenue water in rural areas. When we talk about non-revenue water in rural pipe schemes, it is easy to really default to an engineering conversation about fixing the physical leaks or even updating the slow meters. But through the lenses of system strengthening, we can be able to see that non-revenue water is actually a visible symptom of underlying institutional gaps. So when water is lost, we have a whole issue that also comes in from the perspective of financial sustainability, which actually we can be able to see how water is even vanishing through it. So this undermines the service reliability, and it even traps utilities in a cycle of aid dependency instead of positioning water infrastructure as a stable national fiscal asset. Today, we actually have the US-funded Isoko Ubusima project co-organized with the Water for People in Rwanda, and it's going to bring us a real hard-won experience from rural Rwanda. They will be demonstrating how a blend of technical precision, data visibility, private operator efficiency, and civic accountability can be able to turn water loss into an opportunity for financial returns and reliable service delivery. In many rural settings, half the water produced never reaches the consumer or generating revenue for water utilities. So to show us how Rwanda is systematically breaking down this baseline, let's bring in our first video of the session today. Fatima, kindly roll it.
In many rural areas of Rwanda, large amounts of clean water never reach those they are meant to serve. In some rural water systems, over 70% of the water produced is never paid for. This is called non-revenue water. Reasons include physical losses from leaks and tanks overflows, and commercial losses from illegal connections, faulty meters, or inefficient billing. For service providers, fixing these losses is seen as an expense that they have no budget for. As a result, the problem persists. The Isoko Ubusima project has shown that eliminating these avoidable losses creates a commercial win, an investment that pays back while improving service delivery. The project divided large water supply systems into smaller district metered areas. Meters measured water entering each area. By comparing water produced with water billed, operators detected losses more precisely. The Isoko Ubusima project used 3 approaches to tackle losses. Private water operators were trained in leak detection, repair techniques, meter testing, and bill list analysis. The project developed an online customer management system for private water operators to improve billing. All the infrastructure was rehabilitated and facilities improved. Awareness campaigns encouraged citizens to report leaks and protect infrastructure. The impact was transformational. A cost-benefit analysis revealed striking results. An investment of 101 million Rwandan francs over 2 years reduced water loss from 61% to 27% and generated a financial return of 146 million Rwandan francs. Revenues grew, water losses reduced, and more water reached households reliably. Every franc invested in loss reduction delivered returns exceeding the initial investment. By aligning infrastructure investment, private water operators' capacity building, and community engagement, rural water service providers improved performance while generating new revenue and improved service delivery. Non-revenue water reduction delivers clear benefit in service quality, financial health, and long-term sustainability of infrastructure, and should be a priority. The message is clear. Every drop saved strengthens communities and balance sheets.
Indeed, every drop saves communities as well as balance sheets of water utilities. And to be able to bring the story behind the story, I want to introduce our first speaker, Bruce Uwankunda. He is our first presenter and is going to be he actually brings over 16 years of deep institutional expertise in water sanitation and hygiene and environmental governance, having served across both public policy spheres with the Ministry of Water in Rwanda, as well as the WASAC, and subsequently driving sustainability at Water for People. He currently serves as the Chief of Party for the Isoko Ubuzima project. Please welcome Bruce Uwankunda into this conversation. Bruce, over to you.
Thank you, Fraser. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you joined from. I'm happy to be here again. And as Isoko Ubuzima, we are very pleased to share again our experience, these times around non-revenue water and how we can turn a water loss into opportunities. Today, we're going to hear from the lessons learned from our project, implementation on reducing non-revenue water. As you can see from the picture, which is an AI-generated picture, but from the non-functioning systems, and as we saw in the animated video, we can increase the revenue and provide a more reliable service. Next. So first, I will introduce the project because I'm sure most of you might not be familiar with the project. As mentioned in the video, it is a US government-funded project operating in Rwanda. It's a 5-year project, started in July 2021, and we are almost close to our completion. We'll complete in July 2026, next month. Our line ministry is the Ministry of Infrastructure, which is the ministry mandated to provide and develop water and sanitation services among other infrastructure services. So we operated through 3 strategic objectives at the beginning. The first one was improved wash governance, improved drinking water services, which is the one we are going to talk about today. And then the third one is improved sanitation and hygiene product and services, which is what we presented about last week for those who were in the previous webinar. And then in October 2024, there was a Marburg virus outbreak in Rwanda, and the US government granted us additional funding to help the government on implementing a Marburg virus wash response plan. So it's a 24 million budget, 22 from the US government, and a cost share of about 2.35 million from the implementing partners. So the consortium is led by Water for People, together in partnership with IRC from the Netherlands, which you might be familiar with, Care International, AVEI, who helped us to implement the non-revenue water initiatives that we're going to hear about during this webinar, and also Africa Evangelist Enterprise. Next. The project was designed onto a system strengthening lens. We did not come as an NGO to come and tell the government, this is what we are going to implement. We have 10 activities and we want to deliver them to you, and then we are going. Rather, we will use a wash system strengthening approach by showing this is what we can do and this is how we can do it together. We worked from the national to the district and building the capacity of the service providers and also raising awareness to the communities. By this, raised like an ownership or a commitment from various partners and stakeholders, mainly the national utility, which is WASAC, but also the service providers, which they use to provide service in rural areas. That capacity building was to show them that we are going to pick few systems, we are going to implement a number of initiatives, and we are going to see together the result so that you can replicate this beyond. So the theory of change is that let's do together some system change activity rather than a project-based activities. Let's see how we can develop together strong wash systems. And then, of course, we believe there will be a better service deliveries. These are some of the achievements that we've made. We've developed investment plan for the 10 districts where we are intervening. We've built capacity around 540 wash professionals through the Wash System Academy. We've provided drinking water to 369,000 people. And of course, the main topic of today, we've managed to reduce non-revenue water about 30% within 5 years, and you will see more details. Around sanitation, we've also improved access to 119,000 people, but you've had this in the last webinar. But the system strengthening that we implemented, and you will hear a testimony from one of the private operators in this webinar, is we've built capacity for all the private operators providing services in Rwanda. And this was done through the national utility, and all the techniques and results you will see. It was a combined or a joint effort with the project, the national utility, and the private operators. So now allow me to hand over to Clément Ndogutse from VEI, who will tell you more. Ifrizi, are you the one introducing Clément?
Yes, I am. I want to also really appreciate you for laying out a strategic framework, the baseline as well as the high-level project milestones so far in the project itself. Indeed, we can be able to see that we can be able to really appreciate that whole strategic overview of the project better. You've been able to highlight vital systems of truth, the bit of the localization agenda, multi-stakeholder capacity building is basically a more scalable sector model. Our next speaker, Clement, is going to be able to take us deeper into that technical data architecture. So to understand how we map, how we monitor and isolate these water losses, we look to our next panelist, Clement Ndungutse. He brings 14 years of rich experience spanning in S&V, utility regulation at RURA, and infrastructure management. He currently serves as the project manager for the Vitens Evidence International in Rwanda, leading utility performance and non-revenue water reduction programs. So please welcome Clement Ndungutse to share the technical and regulatory mechanics of the DMAs as well as the telemetry. Welcome, Clement.
Thank you very much, Fresia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Allow me to take you to the journey that we made to reach these results. Next. First and foremost, why non-revenue water matters globally. As you can see from the map underneath of the slide, you can see that most of the countries, actually it shows the non-revenue water heat map. Most of the country ranges between 40 to 60% of non-revenue water, with a few cases of country which is even higher, between 60 to 80%. This highlights why non-revenue water should be treated as a global issue. While the world is facing increased adverse of climate issues with also water scarcity, non-revenue water can be the solution. It can increase water availability without the need for new infrastructure and water sources. Also, most of the utilities are struggling to have financial sustainability, and also they lack confidence to attract commercial finances. And non-revenue water reduction can be a solution to that. Non-revenue water is also a universal relevance. It hits both urban megacities, small cities, rural areas. It doesn't leave any area behind. It just hits wherever service provision is delivered. So considering all the above, non-revenue water, it's a global issue which needs a collective effort to reduce it. Next. Now coming to Rwanda. There are several challenges that hinders the non-revenue water reduction. Many rural areas, many rural water supply systems are old. Most of them were constructed in 70s, 80s, and at that time, the management of infrastructure well under the communities who have no technical capacity to operate and maintain them effectively until of late around 2010, when the government of Rwanda took initiative to change the management and engage the private sector, and started bringing professionalism in the management. But of course, the water supply system are suffering from the historical maintenance deficit. Another issues that is noticed in rural areas in water service provision is the cases of vandalism, which is mostly caused by the low awareness of non-revenue water among the rural community. You can see a citizen can pass by a pipeline, can throw a stone, and leakage can occur. Another challenge that we are facing in Rwanda is the issue of water supply systems that are hardly accessible and fragmented. This hinders the repairing time it takes. You find some water supply systems that are passing through the forest, through the plantation, such that whenever the leaks occur, it is very difficult to notice them, to identify them, report them, and in case intervention is done, it takes some time to reach those infrastructure from the main road. Next. There is also an issue of data gaps. Majority of water supply system in rural areas in Rwanda do not have the bulk meters at the sources to account the water entering the water supply systems as a basis to estimate the non-revenue water level. There is also an issue of the capacity constraints among the rural water private operators, as most of them have limited technical skills to manage effectively non-revenue water. Next. Considering all those above challenges, Isoko Ubuzima brought the approach, which is hinged on 6 pillars. The first pillars consist of capacity strengthening of key actors. After a thorough analysis and assessment before the Isoko Ubuzima, we realized that our key partners do not have technical capacity, or it is even limited to manage non-revenue water. Also, some private operators were not perceiving non-revenue water as a business case. They were treating the cost invested in non-revenue water reduction as an expense. So we had to build the capacity, show them how this approach can be a benefit to them. Another approach that we used is behavioral and institutional change for non-revenue water performance culture. Prior to the beginning of the project, most private operators were considering non-revenue water as simply the leaks that should be fixed by the technicians, plumbers. So the leadership of the companies were not accountable to reduce non-revenue water. But after we realized that, we had several sessions to prove them how non-revenue water is not a technical issue, rather it is a concern for the entire country, and also highlight the need to involve the community as a key partner in leak reporting, in eradicating the issue of vandalism that I was highlighting in the previous slide. We also tackled the infrastructure, physical infrastructure improvement and system optimization by creating the district metered areas to allow tracing of water losses, by rehabilitating the old water supply systems that we selected, and also installing the missing hydraulic equipment which could allow easy operations and maintenance of water supply system. Next. Another pillar was the provision of management tools. Here I can highlight the water meters and the testing kits, which the private operators were not having, making it difficult to ensure the accuracy of the meter readings. Another pillar was on monitoring and making decisions for non-revenue water management. We supported by developing the non-revenue water dashboards, customer management system, the M-Water, and GIS. We shall see how those initiatives have helped in reducing non-revenue water in the next slide. Last but not least, we also realized that for us to be successful, we shall need stakeholder collaboration. We shall also need benchmarking and exchange learning among the private operators. Therefore, we started establishing structured coordination mechanisms, creating the task force which bring together private operators, districts, and WASAC, come together, discuss the issues, and the successful private company has had an opportunity to share the knowledge, skills, and experience with the rest of the private operators. Next. But finally, what was done actually? Next. After making a thorough assessment, we come up with a list of activities that are grouped into 3 main categories. There are activities that were developed aiming to reduce the physical losses. Here I can highlight the transportation means to reduce the time response needed to fix the leakages. We also support in developing the dashboards and the templates for leak mapping and reporting. We installed the hydraulic equipment on water supply systems, and also rehabilitated the leaking water reservoirs and the pipelines. For the activities that fall under commercial loss reduction, include the house-to-house survey that we conducted to assess the bottlenecks in non-revenue water monitoring. This is where we could identify the cases of illegal connections, the number of customers that are not registered, the meters that are not working properly. We also did meter testing, and the results informed us the number of meters that should be replaced. We also developed the customer management system, which is an online system that is used by private operators for billing, revenue collection, and management of customers. There are also a set of activities that falls either under physical, that falls both under physical and commercial losses. Those are cross-cutting interventions. Those include capacity building of our key staff on non-revenue water management, developing of 5-year strategic plans with the task force responsible for monitoring their implementation. Also, the creation of district metered layers to allow tracing of water losses, as well as the community engagement. Next. Here I can highlight the important tools that drove the change. There is a non-revenue water benchmarking tool, which is an Excel-based tool that, that private operators are using to assess how non-revenue water's performance varies from one water supply to water supply and one private operator to another. It contains a set of indicators which can help assess how each water supply system behave in terms of non-revenue water management. Underneath, you can see what it can do. It can help you manage how the leaks are reported, how the leakages appear per pipe diameter. We also use the M-Water mostly for leakage mapping. And also we use the customer management system. Below you can see the screen as it visualizes the amount of billed, the billed customers and paid bills, bill paid. This helped us mostly to improve the billing efficiency of the private operators, which was very low before the project's inception. Next. We also use EPANET for hydraulic modeling for pressure management. We also use the GIS database for localizing the leakages and also by localizing the billing and revenue collection within the created district metered areas. We also use the meter testing kits, which helped us to, in a routine meter accuracy testing and replacement program. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see how those tools helped us creating the district meter area and how the consumption are spread throughout the DMAs. Next. Capacity building has also been essential in our journey to reduce non-revenue water. The targeted team, initially we started with the technical teams from WASAC, which included engineers and accountants, and also from the company where we trained the managing directors, engineers, accountants, plumbers, and also the districts, WATSAN, and the procurement officers. As you can see, those were technical teams. After some time, we realized that the progress was not that fast. And then we decided to scale this intervention at the headquarters of WASAC and even consider the department that are not technical, but still play a crucial role in the decision made in non-revenue water reduction. Those include procurement, unity, planning, finance, IT, human resource of WASAC headquarters. We also included the branch managers after realizing that the proposed solutions by technicians sometimes are not fast implemented. There was the need to include the managers who have clear understanding so as to be able to implement the solutions proposed by the technicians. On the right side, you can see a picture of the technical team trained and exercising non-revenue water reduction practices. Next. Capacity building sessions covered the different aspects of non-revenue water reduction, physical, commercial losses, hydraulic modeling to manage the pressure, GIS and its application in non-revenue water management. We also trained the private operators in meter testing, analyzing the billing data, using the M-Water for leak mapping, and also the best practices in plumbing. On the right side, you can see a screen showing asset management using GIS. Next. What has been the results? What did change? Next. As you can see, at the beginning of our journey, from 10 water supply systems that were selected as a pilot, we were at non-revenue water level of around 70%. That was in December 2022. But we ended our journey at 39%, which is a 30% reduction point. Important to mention that at every quarter 4, you could see that non-revenue water drops. which is a testimony that non-revenue water follows a seasonal variation. In Rwanda, the Q4 corresponds with the month of July, August, and September, which are the months dominated by a dry season. During that season, the water consumption is very high and the pressure in the network is very low, thus resulting in a low number of pipe bursts, which reduced non-revenue water considerably during the Q4. Also, you can also see some spikes around the journey, but mostly at Q4 FY24 onward, you could see a spike, which was mostly a result of the water sector reform that took place, where the government took initiative to engage the youth companies to replace the old private companies that were managing infrastructure, and also the extension of the mandate of WASAC to cover the rural water service provision, which was not the case, as initially WASAC was responsible only for delivering water services in urban areas. All those changes in the sector resulted in having water supply systems without proper management, and our effort that had started before were hit seriously. But after stabilization, you could see that starting from Q3 FY25, you could see that non-revenue water reduction followed the usual pattern. Next. We also realized commercial performance gains from our non-revenue water reduction efforts. We realized that billing efficiency has improved from 60 to 81%. We also have been able to identify the illegal cases from all those 10 pilot water supply systems, where 95 cases were identified. Through house-to-house survey, we have been able to identify 1,245 unregistered customers. Also, by the use of the customer management system, we realized that now relevant institutions can easily track the revenue from different private operators. Next.
Excuse me, Clement, you have only 2 minutes left.
On commercial, thank you very much. For commercial performance gains, as you can see here below, you could see an example of the cost-benefit analysis that we did, and we realized that over the course of the journey, we have been able to generate the revenue around 165 million with a positive return on investment in every 2 years. Next. We also noticed improvement in service quality, where we realized higher reliability, as evidenced by the daily water access numbers, which has been increasing year by year, and also the customer satisfaction, which has also been increasing with the time. Next. We also noticed operational improvement with the fast and quality liquid repair. We also the installed facility contributed to operational efficiency of water schemes. Next. With the DMA installed, private operators can easily monitor the non-revenue water, whereas the GIS and operation and maintenance manual developed also improved the asset management practices. Next. Institutional strengthening was also achieved through stronger collaboration, task force embedding in operational governance, peer learning enabled, and the monitoring systems that are easily run by the local actors. Next. Among the key lessons learned, next, the drivers of the change include continuous field coaching, stakeholder coordination, data-driven management for any decision made, and integration of routine operations into the daily operations. Next. From the journey, we learned that measurement must precede management. it's good to first take a measurement before you decide on which activity to be done. Also, we learned that digital systems are necessary but not sufficient on their own. You must assure the quality of data that you are inputting in the system developed. Also, the changing management of companies, stability is also something that is that hinders the performance in non-revenue water management. Those that have started the journey to the end have been able to reduce non-revenue water to a level less than 25%. Meter inaccuracy can be a hidden but quantifiable revenue threat. We advise those embarking in the journey for non-revenue water reduction to first tackle the meter inaccuracy and keep it as a priority. Governance matters as much as technology. The task force that we created also created accountability mechanism that technical intervention alone could not offer. Next. Now, to ensure sustainability of our interventions, we made sure that the tools that we developed are owned by the local team. Also, the skills transferred to the partners remain within the existing entities, and also the institutionalized governance also through task force are now a standard operating mechanism to ensure sustainability of what we did. Next. Systemic barriers that we had to encounter along the way. We had to tackle the issue of the transitioning mandate of WASAC and the change of private operators. We addressed this by collaborating closely with WASAC. The issue of incomplete data was also solved by using the customer management system. Also, the fear of investment was also solved by shifting the mindset of private operators to realize that investing in non-revenue water is paying. Next. So as a future direction, we would recommend scaling up the benchmarking and learning exercises nationally, as what we did was at the level of the project scale. We also recommend strengthening the use of digital monitoring systems and also expand the DMA approach to cover the entire country. We also recommend to institutionalize continuous capacity building on non-revenue water management. We also recommend to formalize non-revenue water governance structures, procedures, and reporting mechanisms nationwide. Next. For those who want to know more about what we did, here are the documents that you can read on delegated management of rural water supply systems and the lessons learned on non-revenue water reduction under the Isoko Ubuzima. Next. Non-revenue water reduction, at the end of the day, we realize that it is not only technical, it is institutional and behavioral. The most durable gains come when systems, people, and incentives change altogether. Thank you very much. Before giving back the floor, allow me to give the floor to Bruce to share with the people an important communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clement, for the nice presentation. It's not an important communication, rather an important invitation. Would like to invite you all, if you want to hear more stories like this one from Rwanda, in the Africa Water and Sanitation System Leadership Symposium that will take place in Kigali from 16th to 21st August. We want to invite you to register. You can scan that QR code and you'll have more success stories, and you'll be able to hear from the people and from there'll be an exhibition, there'll be the speakers, and you'll be able to hear from the government people themselves on some of these stories. So thank you. I think Clement have highlighted the closing remarks on the importance of non-revenue water. Over to you, Euphrasia.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clement, as well as Bruce. I think I'm learning a lot through these conversations. I hope you also are and can be able to provide any views, any comments on the chat boxes, as well as the Q&A chat box that has been provided there. What I'm picking up from your conversation, Clement, is the fact that we cannot be able to change what we don't measure. And at the same time, we cannot be able to measure what we do not know. So generally, it all begins with data. And you actually rightfully put it that measurement must precede management. Measurement must precede management. African water utilities are really facing a lot, and that is the issue of non-revenue water is seen more as an additional expense until when the impact is felt, and we can be able to relate to that on the slide that is shared on the revenues that were gained. And from it, again, it's the issue of changing mindsets. And this is when concepts have to be really contextualized to the situation that they're supposed to be addressing. One size cannot be able to fit all, as sometimes it's perceived. And that's how we waste a lot of funding in the sector when we come up with approaches that are not contextualized. Every country, every system, every location is totally different. So the bit on changing mindsets can really take a lot of time, as well can really take a lot of resources. And it's important for us to be able to work on that a little bit better, as well as providing enough budgets and staff time altogether. The other thing that I'm also generally appreciating from what you're sharing, Clement, is the fact that rural water is indeed bankable. We really need to see more investments coming to where we have more unserved as well as underserved populations. So thank you very much, Clement. That operational look as well of the district metered areas and the telemetry proves that data visibility changes everything. It shifts a utility from reactive firefighting to predictive maintenance. But how, again, how does this play out for the private sector business entities running these networks on a daily basis? So our next speaker operates right at the interface of public assets and commercial execution. He is a specialized and revenue water management practitioner with over 8 years of experience designing as well as operating rural water systems. As the technical director of Ubuzima Wiza MKM Limited, he has been central to executing data-driven utility improvements on the ground. So let's welcome Engineer Jerome Osingimana to share the private operator reality. Welcome, Engineer.
Thank you, Regia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Joining from a different part of the world. Today, we are going to share with you how Ubuzima Bwiza MKM reduce non-revenue water. Next. Ubuzima Bwiza MKM is a private operator managing water supply system in Rwanda, currently working in Rwamagana district in Eastern Province in Rwanda. As you see on this map, we manage 9 water supply systems serving more than 150,000 people with 52 staff working in operation and maintenance, service delivery, and administration tasks. Next. Before Isoko was Makami, faced many challenges with such as high non-revenue water, frequency we next, and also there is a weak data tracking system. Next. This is where Isoko Ubuzima coming. This project provides us the capacity building for non-revenue water reduction, develop for us customer management system, establish DMA meter, also help us to run the minimum night flow. They help us for the rehabilitating linked tanks, and also develop the non-revenue water reduction dashboard. From the pilot, we have started the project with 65% of non-revenue water and reduced to 15% after intervention of Isoko Ubuzima. As you see, the reduction was up to 50% in reduction. From this pilot, we have motivated by this achievement, and we apply the pilot runs to all others remaining water system, and we succeed. Next. From the lesson and from the pilot, we have the make our transformation framework into 4 pillars, which is community, employees, data, and technology. Next. For behind every company's success, there is employees. In our company, we have the culture of training our new employees through the 6-month onboarding, where new employees study our culture. And also, we train them on the field so that new employees can understand the responsibility and how can it do it in a good way. For fighting reducing non-revenue water, our company established the task force team, which is related on non-revenue water reduction only. For motivating our employees, we provide the award for best performer and emergency zero interest loan, so that employees will to be interested in working with us. This picture shows us how we train our employees on the site and advance the training with certificate. Next. Every employee is equipped with transport means and communication fees, and also for reducing the time of repairing, we establish 3 local stock points for square parts. This helps us to reduce the repair time from 7 hours to 2 hours. It means non-revenue water reduction reached to good level as the time for repair reduced. Next. Now, we are using M-Water for mapping the links. As we map the links, we are able to visualize our network and see the part with frequency linkage and the vulnerable part section of network, and you help us for infrastructure needed for rehabilitation. From data collected by M-Water, we have visualized them, and we see the shot and see the section of pipe needed to be rehabilitated. As you see, we rehabilitated 100 meters based on data collected by M-Water. Next. By using customer management system developed by Isoko y'Ubuzima, we have flagged anomalies and automated the billing. From that data, we are able to identify zero consumption, constant bills, anomalies or excessive consumption, and meter needed to be checked on field. All of those data are the revenue killers. After to identify them and replace the meter, our billing increased as you see on these figures. Next. We also make the water management. As you see on the photo, we have the advanced water testing kits provided by Isoko y'Ubuzima project, and this kit helps us to test meters by identifying the accuracy meter and inaccuracy meter needed to be replaced. This identified inaccuracy meter improved our billing efficiency and increased revenue collection as the inaccuracy meter are reduced. Next. Also, from the lesson learned from the pilot conducted by Isoko y'Ubuzima project, we have started to learn the house-to-house survey to identify meters which are damaged, meters not readable. So for billers not reached there, and we can see and register the customers illegal connection and zero consumption. Continue. Also, we have using a DMA analysis from the lesson learned from the plot, and those lessons are distributed to other networks. And here you see the visualization of data from different DMAs. On this, you see the Nyagasambu, Munyiginya, Mununu, and Nyakagunga. And Mununu shows high non-revenue water. And we prioritize to intervene on this Mununu as data show us the part with high non-revenue water. And after intervention, non-revenue water in this Mununu reduced from 72 up to 8%. Next. Also, other force we have is the community. Our community are the force and the eyes help us to know where our links are there. We collaborate with local leaders, improve link reporting and response, and we run an awareness campaign for infrastructure protection, and we support our vulnerable families needing free water. Next. Good governance and accountability. In our company, we have the culture of tracking key point indicators every month. And in non-revenue water level, we have 2 every month. This helps us to ensure every decision leads to result, and every employees are a responsibility to provide the question meet with her or he in on-site or daily activities. Next. The result that matter. From the lesson learned, as we mentioned above, you have reduced the non-revenue water from 45% to 22% company-wide, and customer complaint reduced by 65%, and the link report from community increased from 11% to 42%. Repair time reduced from 7 hours to 2 hours. As you see on graph, you can see how non-revenue water reduced as we integrate or intervention learned from the plot. Next. The key lessons learned. Start with one DMA. Pilot before scaling to network-wide. Measure flow and bill every customers. Find and fix and bill the customers. Non-revenue water is everyone's responsibilities. Is not for MD or engineer, is whole companies. Inspect the pipeline weekly so you can see the visible risks and trust the residents as frontline informer. Test the big customers, meters. Next. This is our investment done, and for the first one, for the first years, we invest 15 millions and reduce non-revenue water to 35, and we saved water with value of 15 millions. For the second years, we invest 17 millions and reduce non-revenue water to 27 and saved water with value of 22 millions. For the third years, we invested 22 millions and reduced non-revenue water to 23, and we saved the water with the value of 28 millions Rwandan francs. As you see, when you invest in non-revenue water, you get money. Next. Let's turn water loss into opportunity together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jerome, for that wonderful presentation. Indeed, non-revenue water is everyone's responsibility. And I believe so far, so good. I guess also Jerome, as a private sector operator, he's coming in to help us to answer some very interesting questions that we've always had for the private sector. And that is number one, can non-revenue water management models be localized? Yes. Number two, can private sector invest in the rural water sector? Yes, they can. Number three, is there business in rural water despite the socially responsible commercialization tariff setting? Oh, yes. Number four, is the private sector breaking even while they invest in the rural water sector? Oh, yes. Number five, can local private sector invest in water sector beyond the financing? Can they do more? Can they come in and manage the water sector? Oh, yes, indeed, as well. And is public-private partnerships in rural water sector realizable? I think Rwanda is already showing us the way. And lastly, I would also like to really thank you very much, Jerome, for giving us that candid look from the ground. Your point regarding the critical boundary between daily operational maintenance as well as structural asset replacement hits the core of the accountability debate that we usually have in rural water public-private partnerships agenda. So to help us to contextualize these barriers and bridge the gap between the technical pilots and the national systems, let us welcome our next discussant. And this is just a conversation that we're going to be having with Eugene. And he is a globally recognized WASH expert with over 2 decades of leadership spanning in the Ministry of Infrastructure, academic instruction at the University of Rwanda, and directly the acclaimed Rulindo Challenge He's the 2021 Global Engineering Professional Award winner and currently serves as the country director for the Water for People in Rwanda. Eugene, welcome.
Thank you so much, Fraser, for the
Thank you,
introduction.
Eugene. Thank you. I want to take you to the first question. An interesting conversation indeed. You've been able to spend over 2 decades navigating the evolution of Rwanda's water governance. We just had very excellent technical results from Isoko, Yuvuzima, across 10 districts in Rwanda. However, as an international sector, we often encounter the aid illusion, where systems work perfectly inside a well-funded project, and I would actually even call it maybe say a sandbox in itself, but the struggle to scale or to outlive the funding cycle. I think it's one thing that every participant in this conversation is having at the back of their mind. So from a systems perspective, how are the operational tools, the technical manuals, and data frameworks developed under this project being systemically institutionalized in the Ministry of Water, as well as RURA, and the newly unbundled WASAC group? At the same time, I also would like to hear from you. How do we ensure that these successes permanently redefine the national standard for rural water governance across all the 30 districts in Rwanda? Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Fraser. I wish we could have the CEO here on WhatsApp to share the testimonies of the success of this project. To be honest, this project was like a laboratory for the national water sector. As we speak now, we have the national PPP framework contract where the lessons learned from this project, especially non-living water, inform the key performance indicators Jerome shared. I can say that this really project, especially non-living water, helped actually the sector to shape how the service providers, especially private operators and WhatsApp branches, can really perform. Like in 2023, with the new policy reform, we have seen that now the private operators, especially young red companies, now they sign a new contract, and the old companies like the company of Shalom, now they sign a new contract with key performance contract, including the non-living water target, which is really amazing. We have also seen the strategic plan for the government ending in 2029. We have seen the target of reaching 25% from 40% nationally. Before, WASAC was really tracking non-living water in the urban areas, but this time around, now they really know how to support private operators based on the success of this project to be able to support private operators to do that. You have seen Jerome, who is managing systems of water in the rural area, how is he really doing? And others are really doing the same, and there is an enforcement because of this project. I can easily say that even RURA, the Rwanda Regulatory Authority, they really provide that guidance in the management of water supply, rural water supply system, which is really very important. The Ministry of Infrastructure, I can say, the permanent secretary also makes sure that actual WhatsApp is really performing well. They also sign a performance contract with the PS to ensure that they can monitor the non-living water. Non-living water was really one of the key challenges nationally, and WASAC has the mandate to make sure that the non-living water is going to be reduced significantly to be able to attract the funding. You can imagine if a donor or just a development partners, they are really giving money, and actually half of that, the water is really lost. And you have seen the wastewater, how much is translating to the funding. So this is really very important, how Rwanda is really trying to use this opportunity, the learning from this project, to make sure that they can just update their strategic documents. On top of that, we have seen that WASAC now is really well prepared. Now they started actually using the tools. You have seen a number of tools Clement shared. Now all those tools, they are owned by WASAC. And Isoko actually trained all the private operators to make sure that they can use those tools. So it's now up to WASAC to make sure that those tools are going to help to improve the performance countrywide, not only in the urban areas, but also in the rural settings. Maybe I can pause here, Euphrasia. Thank you.
Yeah, that is quite sufficient altogether and quite comprehensive as well. It's not ending, the activities are not ending with the donor, but they're moving on to be owned by the government as well. So I'd like us to shift our focus from a technical hardware to community ownership agenda. We know that large portion of rural non-revenue water is driven by commercial and social losses. And undetected household leaks, delayed reporting of births, or unauthorized usage is quite a menace as it is. So Isoko Ubuzima actively tapped into Rwanda's unique social fabric from the conversations that we've been able to see from Jerome's presentation, using traditional community structures like the Umuganda and the public dialogues to improve transparency. I'm just wondering, Eugene, how do we move community engagement away from standard top-down awareness campaigns and transform it into a more permanent, functional part of local water governance, where citizens can actively practice as well as even participate into consumer responsibility and protect water assets as a shared public good. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Euphrasia. I think Rwanda went ahead and moved, actually, in addition to Umuganda, the community town hall meetings, now they opened a new platform called Baza, or Just Ask Question, where any question related to anything, including water, they just ask that question or send a query to us, direct to us, to make sure that they can really solve issues related to water, including non-living water. Jerome actually easily shared how the communities, the people can play a lot to reduce non-living water. And you have seen how the complaints really increased. In Rwanda, where we have different platforms where they really they prioritize the voice of people. So with the new platform now, Waza, or Just Ask a Question, I heard from WASAC that now they are able to hear from the people where they can just have a quick intervention to reduce non-living water. So if WASAC heard from Baza, they can tag private operators, they can really intervene. As Jerome said, Isoko was supported customer management system, which is helping to reduce commercial losses. And we also supported actually the customer feedback platform, which is part of that, where the citizen can really even ask those questions. Again, behavior change is very important to make sure that those town halls meeting, you have seen Jerome invited into those town halls meeting, conveying the message to the people, saying if there is any problem, you can just call. In addition, WASAC has a toll-free number where people, they can really call if there is a problem in one district, and they can just convey that query to private operator, they can fix it. All those help the private operators, WASAC, to tackle or just to address those challenges and make sure that non-living water is reduced, or just answer those queries from the community timely. In addition, now WASAC opened a new, introduced a new approach where all the technical staff, the branch managers, they have like WhatsApp group for the communities and leaders, local leaders, to ensure that they can easily hear from the voice of the communities. If there is any problem to be solved, leading to efficiency, and efficiency costs money for the utility. Those are really the good way of engaging people. The other thing, this really community engagement is really very important. You can imagine he touched about the vandalism. the vandalism was the main barrier to achieve the efficiency for the rural water supply systems, where when people they are really doing their own business, they can easily break down the pipes or just take some of the components of the water systems. So all those are being actually addressed in the town hall meetings where the private operators were sat and invited to convey their messages, and the local leaders are also requested to do the same to make sure that the community engagement is really high, and to make sure that the performance not only for the utilities, private operators, but also the community, they play their role. They are one of the key pillars of private operators to be able to achieve their goal of performance contracts. Thank you. I can pause here.
Yeah. Yes. And we can be able to clearly see how there's a very strong accountability mechanisms that has been able to be put in place. You have clearly been able to share how we are connecting downward accountability to internal accountability to as well as upward accountability with the government being engaged and definitely
Sorry, we seem to have lost a bit of Frisia. Give a couple of minutes, but meanwhile, I think Clement and Jerome, there have been many questions on the Q&A box addressed to you. So maybe I can give you the opportunity to answer one of the questions. So I think Josiah said he really liked the presentation, but he wanted to understand how gender equality and social inclusion are integrated into non-revenue water interventions and what changes were observed for women and vulnerable groups. So can one of you address this issue of the gender considerations?
Yeah, thank you very much. When we were doing all the capacity building, we have been identifying the females to participate in the trainings. And fortunately, most of the billing officers from private operators are females. And also we recorded quite a number of females from the PO's managerial positions. Additionally, from the WASAC side, I was referring to the private operator side, but from the WASAC side as well, we also recorded females with quite interest and has played a crucial role in the journey for non-revenue water reduction. Basically, we had to build the capacity of the staff that are responsible for non-revenue water management, but that encouragement to include, to mobilize the private operators to hire females was there, and we could also notice increasing number of females over years as we implement the project. Thank you.
You can continue, Frisia. I just asked the question about gender issues. You're muted.
Thank you for that. I can pick up the conversation from where I had left with Eugene. Just one more question. Let's land on the critical element of financing. And historically, we know that the sector funding for non-revenue water has been highly input-driven, buying batches of meters, replacing a specific pipeline, or even just funding a one-off training workshop. But Rwanda is doing something different altogether with programs like the performance-based contract management. So how can international partners alter their funding models to support performance-linked financing? And also, how does reducing water loss really help shift that conversation away from the reliance of official development assistance, ODA, that we know has been declining over the past 2 years and even beyond? Go ahead, please, Eugene, maybe a minute or so.
Thank you so much, Fraser. I think that's really most really important question for this particular activity of the project. I was looking at the numbers shared by Clement, by Jerome. So it seems that water supply systems, water equals investment. And relying on the way we use the actual to get funding for water, it seems that living water is where most of the commercial investors, commercial banks can really look into that, where they can really partner with the private operators, utilities to invest. I was looking at the numbers, how non-living water was reduced significantly more than 50%, and return on investment. It's really it shows that actually this water supply is no longer a high risk, but almost zero risk. So going to a commercial bank, instead of waiting for the money from the treasury, I think that's really the way to go. I can imagine if the MKM can easily work with the local commercial bank here in Rwanda to get the investment, because they can show the numbers, the expected return on investment, payback period, then they can easily get money. Maybe to add on that, based on this experience, to see how, after the analysis, how the non-living water can be an opportunity instead of a challenge. We use the same project to support commercial banks here in Rwanda, where 4 commercial banks were supported to design wash loans, water and sanitation loans. And one of them, Bank of Kigali, launched the wash loans. Now the private operators, the WhatsApp utility can easily get the loans from the bank. And one of the areas they can invest is just the non-living water, because instead of waiting money from the government, treasury, where the government has competing needs, I think the commercial banks can really play a role to improve the efficiency and make sure that the water services are really reliable, sustainable, and climate resilient. So in brief, I can really say that now this is an opportunity. It's no longer a challenge. Now I really call upon now the utilities, private operators to think of the commercial loans instead of waiting the funding from the government. Thank you.
And very quickly, are these interest rates a little bit lower compared to other loan products?
Yes, this is what we were looking at, and the Bank of Kigali's really interest rate is low compared to other normal rates. And now we have been some of the social investors, they're really willing to partner with the Bank of Kigali to provide more loans, cheap loans, affordable. The example is like water equity. Water equity now is really exploring partnering with Bank of Kigali, and Bank of Kigali, there is also Swedish government partnering Bank of Kigali to offer those cheap loans to the private operators. So this is really a huge opportunity for commercial banks and private operators to invest in the water efficiency to ensure that water are sustainable and climate resilient water services delivery countrywide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Jerome, to you very quickly in a minute as well. And I hope you can be able to keep a minute. Bernard Polombwe is asking, what kind of meters, prepaid or postpaid, that you're using in order to reduce non-revenue water from 78% to 8% in Monono? And I think in terms of the activities as requested for has already been addressed. But he's also asking, how did you manage illegal connections as well as vandalism in these rural areas? 2 questions, Jerome.
Thank you. For DMA meters, we have established 5 meters on the water supply system, and we monitor each every day. We record the index at the morning and the night. After we compare the water passing in the water in the meter and see which is high non-revenue water. In those processes is where we have found that Mununo is high. It has high non-revenue water. The second question is about.
The second question is basically about how you're able to manage illegal connections as well as vandalism in rural areas.
For fighting about vandalism, you have using the customer management system developed by Isoko project and identified the zero consumption and visited there to verify. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jerome. So to everybody, as we bring this 90-minute session to a close, 3 systemic takeaways stand out for our global network of practitioners. First, non-revenue water is a governance challenge disguised as an engineering one. Reducing water loss sustainably requires restructuring the market mechanics, as well as ensuring that we have precise data, clarity, so that public asset owners and private operators can be able to coordinate without friction. And I believe Clement has been able to demonstrate that extremely well. And secondly, social infrastructure is a vital as well as physical infrastructure. And we could be able to see that very well from Jerome's as well as Eugene's conversations. And this is more on the perspective of leveraging the existing civic platforms like Umuganda, and that ensures that community monitoring aligns with technical detection systems to curb commercial losses. And thirdly, I would also mention the fact that financial self-reliance requires a shift in capital structures. And this point was demonstrated very well by Bruce. And this is basically about moving from input-based donor financing to performance-based national program architectures is how we can be able to transition from the short-term project fixes to a permanent fiscal sovereignty of our states. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you, to all our co-organizers, Water for People in Rwanda, our excellent presenters, Bruce, Clement, Jerome, as well as Eugene, our simultaneous French translators, and all of you across the global rural water supply network for your time and your active engagement today. Let's apply these lessons to turn water loss into opportunity in our respective countries. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon ahead. Or is it evening or morning? Thank you very much. Let's keep the conversations going. We could not be able to answer all the questions. We had more than 50 questions, and we are looking forward to replying you as we send this recording and any other documents that have been able to request for in the session. Thank you very much. Goodbye.